Joel Embiid goes off for a 40-point double-double. Sixers get a win. It wasn't easy. It should have been easy, but they get the win. And the Sixers now have won 3 in a row, 27-21 on the season. Final game of their long homestand. The road trip is up next. We're here to react to it live from the Xfinity studio, along with Derek. Look, I got company. Me and Bree have company in here for the post-game show. Bree is producing. All of you in the chat, great to be with you. They got the win, everybody, and it is 27-21 for your Philadelphia 76ers. Double-doubles for both Joel Embiid and Kelly Oubre. We'll get to all of our things here tonight for this show as we get to the Unsung Hero presented by Togo and the big takeaway from Xfinity. Make sure you sign up at Xfinity.com and you can watch us in 4K. Plenty to get to. Player of the game as well. Paul George, the 2000-2001 reunion game and the ceremony that took place. Derek was in the arena, so we'll talk with him about that. And we appreciate all of you here tonight. But let's begin with the main thing. The main thing is Bree and I have company in the studio here for the post game. But the main thing is Joel Embiid lifts the Sixers, put them on their back, and they just simply got a W tonight, as they should have, over the New Orleans Pelicans. That's 3 in a row for this basketball team. And sitting there with a nice over 600, right? 6 game over 500 right now. Not bad.
Yeah. So I guess first off, I should probably start off by apologizing for leaving you in that spot where you had to do your pregame show by yourself. But look, the kid in me was like, I've got to go down there and see that 2001 team reunite.
And you weren't wrong.
And then the adult in me said, let me spin this as in we need the press conference audio, so I need to go down there and interview them. Really, it was just an excuse to get me in the building.
You weren't wrong.
Because that is one of those, I'm not going to say that's a team that caused me to fall in love with the sport, because I was already in love with the sport, but it certainly reaffirmed it, and being there was really quite incredible, and running into a lot of old friends was nice as well.
We'll talk about that a little bit later more extensively.
Yeah. So we'll start off by just thanking you for covering the pregame show. I really appreciate it. And it is like, this
Payback,
is...
Because the Knicks are in town on the 11th.
That's true. You're going to have a day off pretty soon here. Pretty soon. Yes. It really is like, look, again, there's going to be some parallels with Allen Iverson here. And the way that Joel Embiid has made this resurgence, including tonight, where first 40-point regular season games, he had that one in the playoffs, obviously, against the Knicks. The first regular season 40-point performance in over 2 years.
Yeah.
Since the 70 spot that he had there before everything kind of went sideways. And I was sitting there in the first half, and he had like 23 in the first half, I think. And I'm watching him go to work. And I'm just thinking back to Allen Iverson. And it's easy to look at Iverson's career now and think, oh, that magical run, that MVP season, the way he captivated the fan base and captured our hearts. If you were alive and paying attention during the years up to that, it was not like predetermined that he was going to have this storybook ending, this storybook career, that he was going to become a fixture in our lives and in the basketball culture. There was a lot of turbulent times, whether it was people complaining about his practice habits, a coach complaining about his practice habits. The team tried to trade him. The team actually did trade him, but Matt Geiger wouldn't waive a no-trade clause or a trade kicker.
Who was not there, by the way.
Yeah.
Surprised.
I mean, he did his part. He made that season possible. There was obviously the off-court stuff, including some highly publicized stuff. There were a lot of people, like if we would have had social media back then, it would have been a frenzy.
Oh my goodness. He would have been traded. He would have had to have been traded. Yeah.
And it's easy to forget about that now because the trade fell through, because you had that run, because he had that second act in his career, and you're watching Joel Embiid. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Joel Embiid is going to give you that second act. I'm not sitting here and telling you that they're going to make a run to the finals, but he is finally playing at a point where you can at least envision it, where you can let yourself dream for a moment, and maybe he gets that storybook close to his Sixers career as well. And you're just watching him go to work, and the feathery smooth touch, the passing. He was establishing position deep inside. He was hitting the glass, stuff that we've mentioned over the last couple of weeks that we didn't think he was physically capable of doing 2-3 months ago. Mm-hmm. He's now doing on a very regular basis. He played 39 minutes today, Devon.
And it was
39
easy.
minutes. And how many in the second half? A good chunk in the second half. And he didn't look like he was laboring. He didn't look like, he couldn't
18:44.
keep going. 18 minutes and a half of basketball. It's stuff that I just didn't think he could do. So it is, it's easy for me to kind of make that parallel of Iverson's second act, watching Embiid really have a resurgence here over the last 2 months.
Love it.
And wonder whether or not it's possible for him to have the same.
It's one of the best stories. You know how we talk the teams, and even when we talk about the Sixers being a really good story, recently when we talked to Tim Legler, who we have on pretty much bi-weekly on the show, and we even mentioned it when the Sixers played the Suns, that this is the Suns are one of the best stories in the NBA. Mm-hmm. The individual performance from Joel Embiid is one of the best stories in the NBA. Yeah. For him to, if you remember everyone, to get off to the slow start that he did, while he did play the games, he played 5 games in the first week and a half or so, had to take a few games off, comes back, plays another stretch of games there for Joel Embiid, which was all satisfactory for everyone because he was out there. He was in uniform to start the season, where that hasn't been the case for every year with all the questions that we have coming out of training camp. But then to come back in December, get on the roll where he's averaging only 4 or 5 rebounds a night, to finally turn it back up where he's back in that mix of averaging 8, 9 rebounds a night, and where he is right now, where he finishes the night with another double-double, finishing with 11 rebounds. He had 15 rebounds earlier in the week. Joel Embiid is one of the best individual stories of the season. There are other players that will be more qualified because he's a former MVP for the most improved player, or the award that they give for that type of player that really kind of just comes back and rebounds after some things that really held them down. This is one of the better stories. And then you add into the fact that Tyrese Maxey leaps into this, I still say stardom, but certainly all-star level. Some are saying superstar level, but certainly top 15, top 10 conversation in the NBA, MVP conversation. And Joel Embiid is okay playing a secondary role in a lot of the game, but also when he needs to pick it up and be the focal point like he used to. That has never left him. So the assist numbers are up. The rebounding is better. The selective choosing of when to really go after a block on the defensive end is also there. And it has really become one of the stories that is one that people have to talk about, with this team firmly in the mix, as I keep saying, in the Eastern Conference, and that middle point, trying to stay out of the play-in, but right there doing their part, despite some frustrating games where they lose to Charlotte and
it happens.
All these games.
Hey, Charlotte is 11-6 in the month of January.
They still should not have lost by 50.
They should not.
Yes. But with all of that, it is one of the better stories because we're seeing the game also evolve and fit more to what suits the other star that's now next to him in Tyrese Maxey, where when James Harden and Ben Simmons were in that also all-star dual role with Joel Embiid, he was always one. There was no question about it. No matter what conversations you may have had, they could win games, but he was number one. Maxey has been one all season long. Joel Embiid had to ease himself back into it, and you can clearly see that he is okay being right now 1B to Tyrese Maxey's 1A. And that's all we asked for as Maxey started to elevate his game. How will it now play off of one another? And we're seeing that. And we're seeing it in the form of these big number double-doubles. His scoring output is back. He can also impact the game when he has 25 and 9 and 2 blocks. And the assist numbers are way higher for what we have seen in the past. So the unselfishness is there in that way. Sometimes you still see the old Joel Embiid where the ball does get stuck. But for the most part, he gets going. And this is, again, one of the better stories in the NBA, to see him bounce back playing the way that he has been playing. And this is the last game of the month of January for Joel Embiid, finishing with this 40. Now, with that, I'm just simply going to look at the stats because I don't know if they updated them for tonight to add into what his averages are for the year. For the month. But he's averaging 25.7 points on the season. He's up to 7.4 rebounds and 4 assists, shooting 49% from the floor. And they did add in the 40. He averaged 29 points, 8 rebounds, 4.6 assists, 1 block, half a steal, shooting 86% from the free throw line, 33% from 3, and 54% from the field for Joel Embiid in the month where he played. I'm not counting all these because he played most of the games in January.
Well, here's over his last 7 games. 34.1 points, 9.3 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 53% from the field. This is like offensively, because I think defensively he has not regained where he was defensively. He's better than he was at the start of the year for sure, but he is not anywhere near what he was in his peak. But offensively, he is playing legitimately MVP caliber Joel Embiid basketball over the last 7 games. It is really just it's one of the great things about sports is you can be surprised. This sport, I feel like in particular, a lot of things can happen that you don't expect. This is one of the more surprising things that I've seen during my time covering this team.
With that, to your 7 games, you said 5-2 in that 7-game stretch. 14 games, as I counted while Derek was talking. I was still listening, multitasking. 14 games that he played this month. They are 10-4 in the month of January when he is out there on the floor for the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 29-8 on the season. So I would say, number one, he's the player of the game, everybody. If you're not sure about that, he's the player of the game tonight, finishing with 40 points, 11 rebounds, 3 for 5 from 3. When that shot wasn't falling for a while, Derek, the three-pointer, he's starting to make it at a much better clip over these last couple of games. Also, the 4 assists. I actually thought he should have had more. Maxey had an off night for Tyrese Maxey. I thought Joel would have had more assists tonight if that was the case. But it looks really good, like he's back. And as Derek said, over the last 7, 40, 37, 29, 38, 32, 30, and 33. Only one game where he'd scored less than 30 points, and that was 29. They won that one in a blowout over Milwaukee. They didn't need him to go off in that one. That's how good Joel Embiid has been. So if you notice our thumbnail tonight, All-Star Night, everybody, the reserves come out tomorrow where the coaches vote for the reserves, and they are dropped tomorrow at 6 p.m. If you don't also think that Joel Embiid does not know that, you be fooling yourself because he knows everything. And I think he put a little bit of pressure on the coaches and as far as making a decision for the reserves for the East.
So you mentioned him winning most improved player, which he won't.
He will
that's
not.
Not how anyone ever votes for that.
Especially with a former MVP.
Yeah. There used to be a comeback player of the year award from 1980 to 1986. Can you guess one of the winners?
80 to
86.
80 to 86. Eastern Conference?
There are some in the East and some in the West, yeah.
Jeez.
Do you want a jersey number?
Give me a jersey number.
53, played for the Warriors.
Alton Liston?
No, Bernard King.
53?
Yeah, you think he wore 53. I might have that wrong. I'm not good with numbers.
He's a 30.
No, that was his college number.
Yeah, he's a 30.
Okay, yeah. I apologize for the
That's
bad.
okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's all right. That's why I went. Alton, when did he win? But Joel Embiid looks really, really good, and they get this win tonight.
Tennessee number. My bad.
They get this win tonight on his shoulders, as we talked about with Maxey and Embiid carrying them to that close win the last game. On his shoulders tonight, they made sure that they got this victory. He was fantastic.
Yeah, and look, this was a real close game. It's a 109-109 tie.
Again, it should not have been.
No, it should not have been.
They were up by like 15.
Yeah. But they controlled the game down the stretch. Obviously, a 15-5 run to close it out. I think
it was 109-109.
Yeah. I think they did a much better job defensively. That helped get them out on the break a little bit. A couple three balls fell. I know Tyrese made a deep three. Embiid made another three. They got some buckets in transition. But it did, I think, that turnaround start on the defensive side of the ball. For a team that really didn't play great defense through three quarters, they turned it up when they needed to.
VJ Edgecombe with another VJ Edgecombe big shot in that latter part of the fourth quarter, forced a timeout from James Borrego. Dominic Barlow with the dunk. Great pass from Tyrese Maxey. Unselfish with the assist. Great pass. Didn't have to throw a lob. Just simply swing the ball to the other side, kind of turn it, flip it. Nice little wrist pass to Dominic Barlow for the dunk, and Joel Embiid with some nice buckets. To your point, though, because Joel Embiid was, I believe, like 7 for 17 in the first half for his 23, if I'm not mistaken. Off the top of my head, he finished 13 for 27. I thought he was going to get a 40 early, like quick, because he was really going at Derek Queen, remembering those comments that Kyle mentioned in the pregame that we've talked about over the last few shows that we've had. I thought that he was so anxious to score on Queen because he got the few early that he rushed a few. Yeah, and I thought he got a little bit outside of himself on a few of those possessions. Otherwise, he might have had that 40 early and the game would have been over. Missed a few free throws as well. Joel did. He missed 3 tonight. And then he turned it up in the second half for the 18 that he did. All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, we'll get to the Togo Unsung Hero of the Night. Everybody, you can guess who the Togo Unsung Hero is. Always in the chat, let us know. The Togo Unsung Hero of the Night. We'll get to that player, that person, maybe that team. I don't know. Let us know how you feel. Sixers win 124-114, 27-21 now on the season, 6 games over 500, and a 5-game road trip upcoming for Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and company. That's also without Paul George. When we come back, we'll get to the Unsung Hero. It's the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365.
Guys, we work a lot of late nights covering the Sixers. There are very few things that get me out of bed and out of the house in the morning, but the Wawa $5 big breakfast deal is one of them. It's a sizzly, whatever sizzle you want. I'm a bacon, egg, and cheese on a croissant guy myself, but they have all kinds of options. Any size, hot or iced coffee. I need a big coffee in the morning. And a hash brown. That's the whole thing, all for just $5. It's a go-to for me when I need something to fill me up in the morning, get me going. Also, tastes delicious. And if you want to switch it up and make it sweet, you can use their new caramel chocolate craze flavors too. I'm a caramel guy myself. I don't know, maybe Bree, maybe Devon are more on the chocolate kick. There's something there for everybody. And most importantly, it's $5. You're in and out. The deal's only in the mornings, 5 to 11 a.m. It's a nice window. You're up early. You're heading to work. You guys know it. Gotta have a Wawa.
What kind of dreams did you have when you were a kid? What did you want to be when you grew up? Did you want to be a store owner? Did you want to be a doctor? Maybe a professional athlete? Well, I wanted to be a professional athlete. That did not work out, but that's okay. But I also wanted to be a store owner, and I wanted to own my own sneaker store. Well, while I haven't done that, if I did want to now start selling them online like you see so many do, Shopify would be the place for me to do that. And Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Shopify even powers the PHLY merch store right here on a daily basis. Shopify has you covered with the website creation, product descriptions, email, and social media marketing, and much more. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business ideas into cha-ching. That's right, with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today. Shopify.com/AllCity. That's Shopify.com/AllCity. Cha-ching. Back on the PHLY Sixers post-game show. Hit the like button, everybody. Hang out with us here for a little bit while we talk about the Sixers. The only place for you to go to check out and react to the Sixers game right here on the PHLY Sixers post-game show. Like, subscribe, tell a friend and tell another friend. Derek, Kyle, Devon, Bree, we're all here with you all season long. You got yourself a pretty decent basketball team, everybody. We're going to be talking about a lot of good things, some frustrating things, but ultimately still believe they are a playoff team despite Paul George being suspended for now 24 more games on the season. All right, let's get to the Togo Unsung Hero of the Night. Togo, the operating outsource, Togo, the
Right,
leader in
just burp into that mic,
operations,
it's fine.
outsourcing, and the unsung hero of the night. Saw a lot of nominees in there. A lot of nominees. We decided to go this one for the unsung hero, particularly Jared McCain.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, I think this one's a pretty easy one, in part because, like, he only had 12 points because he only played 17 minutes. But 12 points, 17 minutes, first of all, it's a real nice spark off the bench. If you get that with any kind of regularity, you're very, very happy. But I actually thought, especially in the second quarter, his defense, I thought, was really good. I thought he did a real good job of fighting through screens on the perimeter. I think he did a real good job of communicating and switching some of the little things that you don't necessarily always see, and that, quite frankly, Jared has to do if he's going to add value on the defensive side of the court because he has so many physical limitations. But I thought he was on point defensively in a way that was really encouraging. Like last year, when we watched Jared and we said he does so many little things well, this was the version of Jared that I think we saw.
Yep.
And it's just, if you're going to overcome his physical limitations, he has to communicate. He has to fight through screens. He has to, be aware. And for a lot of this year, I'm not going to say he was unaware because, quite frankly, there's some not great awareness players on this team that kind of annoy me a little bit more, but I don't think he was as locked in as he previously was. And the threes were great. And you saw him, a couple games ago, Kyle had mentioned that players were looking off of him and not passing. You saw Tyrese specifically hit him with a couple of pretty quick hit-ahead passes in transition. And when he's going well, and even if he misses it, just the threat to pull that opens up lanes for others in transition. But it's just, shots were great. And quite frankly, if he doesn't hit those shots, he's not the unsung player. But the defense to me stood out just as much.
And the reason why it's also the unsung is because we'll get to some of the other players. It's how important this is for him and the team and the punch that he can give them off the bench. As Derek said, if he can give 12 points off the bench, that's going to be huge for them. It may not be a consistent 12 every single night, but it's a 12 that they can use with his outside shooting. Missing Paul George, we talked about his 38% from behind the three-point line, where not many of the other guys off the bench you can really look at and say, can anybody match that 38% or even higher off the bench for the three-point shooting only? And even in the starting group, outside of Tyrese Maxey, even VJ Edgecombe, who was right around 36, 37, can anybody else duplicate that? And he's the one off the bench that you can really point to and say, if he can get that shot back, that's going to be important for them down the road. That's going to have to travel on the road to these other cities against these other teams that they're going to have to play that also have some nice benches that will match up with him pretty well. But if double teams go to Maxey and Embiid and he is open and available for the shooting, VJ Edgecombe always has his head up and looking for that player that's open to make the right play and the right pass. He's going to be the recipient of that a lot of nights, and they need for him to knock down that shot. So for the bench unit, even with Quentin Grimes back now from that injury, played 15 minutes, only took 3 shots. That's it. He only took 3 shots coming back from the ankle injury that had him sit down for a few games, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 points. But you need Jared McCain's shooting to carry this team, help carry this team over the next, not just the 25 games that Paul George is out, but also going into the postseason, should they get there like we believe they will, his shooting is paramount for them to have success off the bench.
No, and it really is, like, part of the reason I was so excited about him is because he gives effort, he shoots the ball, he's a quick trigger, he's always ready to catch and shoot. Like, we saw a couple when he was in the corner. I remember I think it was the second quarter, Kelly came down, missed him, took a pretty tough shot himself. Very next trip down, Kelly came down, saw him in the corner, skipped it over there, and he made a quick 3. He's just so quick with the shot and so ready with his footwork that you really can't leave him. And when he's a threat and the other team views him as a threat, he opens things up so much. But it's a combination of floor spacing, the ability to get like 12 points real quick, and then just trusting his decision-making. And for so much of this year, that decision-making, it's not that he necessarily made bad decisions, it's that he made, second slow decisions.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like he was hesitating way more, and you understand why, because he just didn't know exactly how much he could trust his body. He didn't know what he could do in the way that he could do it in the previous years. Look, Obviously, he had a run earlier this year in November where he had a 5-game stretch playing pretty good basketball. He's now got a 5-game stretch where he's playing pretty good basketball as well. So you don't know whether or not it's going to carry over, but I really hope it does because I just need more spacers. I need more people whose decision-making I can trust. And when Jared McCain is rolling and playing well, he clears both of those easily.
Hopefully this 5 games could be a springboard for something that we, as Derek pointed out, saw a lot in the 23 games last year. You never know. You never know. And with these games coming up, again, 5-game road trip. So they have 6 games before the All-Star break. If he can put together 11-game stretch where he's pretty good going to the All-Star break, get a little bit of a little time off, little reset for him, come back and be right back in the mix and still be productive, that'd be huge for the Sixers. Our Togo unsung hero of the night, Jared McCain, the leader in operations outsourcing. Let Togo handle the work that gets in the way of your work. You call the plays, we execute. Now, let's get to the guy who was most important. Yes, he was worthy of the unsung hero, but he was very important because the production that he gave tonight is one that we also believe is going to be huge for this team over the next 24, since one of the 25 is in the books, and that is Kelly Oubre. Saw Phil, his agent, upset, saying, oh, yeah, 12 points is amazing. Phil, relax. We know we have to talk about Kelly Oubre. That's why we wanted to just simply designate a lot of time for him to talk about some
you
of
really
this
are
here.
acting like his agent because,
Yeah.
look, Jared struggled all year. We can't give him a little bit of praise without you getting angry. Calm down. We'll get there.
All
We'll
right.
get there.
Tonight, Kelly Oubre, 19 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double, 4 assists. And look, man, this is the guy I think most of us pointed the finger to and simply said, hey, he is going to be the one that's going to benefit from the opportunity that's in front of him.
Yes.
And tonight, he did exactly that with the 19 points. It may not be 19 every night in the 30 minutes. He may not make 3 3-pointers every night like he did tonight. But effort is going to be there. He'll grab rebounds. It may not be a double-double, but he'll grab rebounds. He will pass off some assists. There'll be the occasional block to go along with the 1 or 2 steals that he's going to get. And this was another really good Kelly Oubre performance that you just wanted to see. With all the news that dropped today with Paul George, you wanted to see someone step up, and Kelly Oubre was certainly that one.
Yeah, he was. And look, this is a guy who had been struggling the last couple games from the field. 2 for 11 from 3 over his last 4 games. He came out here and he hit some pretty big shots, but it really is everything else. Like, the rebounding was huge. His ability to, help down on a driver and recover was huge. I think he helped force them. He didn't get credited with any steals, I don't believe, but I think he helped force 1 or 2 with his activity and length and his ability to cover ground. And quite frankly, he made a couple of pretty good passes and kept the ball moving at times where, a couple years ago, I'm not sure he would have, including a couple to Jared in the corner. So I think he played not only an impactful game and not only a two-way game, but I think he played a pretty well-rounded game in a way that, if they get any semblance of that going forward, you need that to help overcome the loss of Paul George. It really is like he's got to be shooting like 37% from 3 so far on the season. I'm pretty blown away by that. He's one of those guys where if you look at his on-offs with Embiid, I do think having Embiid back in the lineup on a regular basis and playing well helps Kelly a lot. We really didn't get a chance to see Kelly play a ton with Embiid over his first 2 years here because Joel just missed so much time. So now you have a chance where Kelly's got to step up and be a bigger part of the rotation, a bigger part of the scoring attack. We're going to test and really see whether or not this pairing with Kelly and Joel can bring out the best version of Oubre. And if that's the case, then it'll be a heck of a lot easier to overcome the loss of Paul for the next 24 games.
So with Kelly Oubre out there, when you look at what he did out there on the floor, and again, we talked about a lot of what the lineup's going to be, who's going to be out there on the floor with who. We saw Joel Embiid came out earlier. Tyrese Maxey stayed on the floor in the first quarter a little bit longer, and then Tyrese Maxey didn't come back into the game until about the 4-minute mark of the second quarter. And Kelly Oubre, though, was out there for quite a bit on the floor. So what did you notice with his time out there with VJ Edgecombe as that second unit and being out there with Joel Embiid as well? Because he was making himself available early on. I thought he passed up a couple of shots, and then he kind of eased himself into it.
Yeah, and I do think that group, and it'll be really interesting because this is, you obviously losing Paul, like there's a lot of minutes to fill and there's a lot of imperfect options. And I think you're going to see a lot of experimentation from Nick over the next couple of weeks to see what combinations work, which don't. I do like the way that they can push the ball when they have VJ and Kelly out there, and I think that can help. Kelly got a couple buckets of really getting out there in transition and getting some easy layups because of that. And he can get up and down the court. He can fly. So I do think them being able to force turnovers, them being able to get out on the break, maybe a little bit of a more competitive team on the glass. I think they pretty much drew the Pelicans to a dead even on the glass here in this one. That will all help get that offense unlocked, because I do think when you start, Nick talked about it a little bit before the game of, we're going to try to stagger Tyrese and Joel Moore. Sometimes it is tough to do that. Sometimes you get caught up in the moment. Sometimes you really want to try to, make a push to get you back in the game and extend the lead. And next thing you know, you've got to go with some lineups that maybe you weren't planning on. And we can get into some weird lineups, I think, over the next couple of weeks, especially if neither of them are on the floor, where you're asking a lot of VJ Edgecombe. And we'll get to VJ in a little bit. I actually liked his floor game quite a bit here for most of the night, but that's a lot to put on a 20-year-old rookie. And having Kelly there to help him and quite frankly, just get out and get in transition and get some easy buckets to limit how much I have to operate in the half court will be huge.
Yeah, I like the aggressiveness. I actually like Kelly Oubre's shot selection overall tonight. I think there was one shot where I said, Kelly, you should have passed the ball out. Got into the paint, little traffic, should have kicked it out. But he didn't, and it's fine because the effort, again, is always there. He's always looking to get back, always looking to make that. He generally looks to make that extra pass as well. And he did most things that you're going to look for on a nightly basis when his numbers are now going to be up. And it's funny because I saw a lot of people when the news came down with Paul George. Huge news day, everybody. Again, we all know, everybody knows if you don't, Paul George suspended for 25 games because of violating the league's drug policy, going to be out for 25 games, back by March 25th. He's going to be back for March 25th.
Yeah.
For March 25th against the Chicago Bulls.
March 25th is when he is eligible.
Not close.
Yeah.
That's when he's eligible to come back.
I like how I give you grief like 7 hours ago and you still remember it.
You weren't here for pregame, so it sounds like it would have been
That's
4
true.
hours.
That's
yeah.
true.
So, but there were a lot of people saying, "Oh, great, more opportunity for Nick Nurse to give too many minutes to Kelly Oubre and some of the other players on the floor." And while he can be frustrating at times, he has been, for the most part, all season long, someone you can count on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's been way more consistent offensively and with that shot than I would have ever guessed. And like I said, I do think, like, if you start looking at his 3-year splits, shooting the three with Embiid and without Embiid, I forget exactly what it is, but he's like 6 or 7% better with Embiid on the floor than he is with Embiid on the bench.
Yeah.
And now that Embiid is not only on the court, but playing like the previous version of himself offensively, I think Kelly's going to benefit a lot.
All right. Kelly Oubre. Sorry, Phil, we didn't give him the award, but we felt like he deserved a little bit more time to just simply discuss everything this evening and what happened. But he contributed to the win. Also got a double-double on the night, 19 points, 10 rebounds in the Sixers' 10-point win over the New Orleans Pelicans, 27-21 now on the campaign. All right, when we come back, we got to get to this one and talk about this a little bit because we have another sponsored segment that we have to discuss, and that is, in fact, the Xfinity Big Takeaway by Xfinity. And I'm going to lean a lot on this guy for the big takeaway. I have my thoughts, but I wasn't there. And we will discuss that when we get back. It's the PHLY Sixers postgame show following the third win in a row for the basketball team. Now a 5-game road trip ahead.
It's the first 3-game winning streak at home all year. All year.
So. Yep, all year.
It's wild.
Yep. First time over 6 games over 500 all year for this team. We're back after this. Do you really want Tyrese Maxey trying to defend some of the better front court players in the association? No, not really. That's not his strong suit. As talented as he is, you don't want him playing out of place. So it's not worth the risk, time, or the money for the professional basketball team. You need to keep your stars focused on what they do best, and the same goes for your business. You don't want your top people buried in operations, tedious, time-consuming, redundant activities that wear them down overall. You want them to keep your impact players fresh. And that's where Togo comes in, an integrated part of your team, taking the work off your starters' plates so they can focus on what really moves the business forward. Each Togo program includes dedicated staff, custom automations, and U.S.-based processes engineers who act as if they are your point guard overall. At Togo, turning your playbook into performance. You call the plays, we execute your way, and we advise along the journey. Visit harnesstogo.com. That's harnesstogo.com. Scale smarter, work faster, and stay focused on winning. Oh, it's time for a night out, isn't it? Well, you got to head on over to Parks Casino. Yes, Parks Casino and the Excite Center. At Parks Casino, one of the many things I love about my casino of choice is the Excite Center. And Parks Casino is very easy to get to. Pennsylvania's #1 casino and is so close to Philadelphia, located in Bensalem. All you have to do is take the Street Road exit off of I-95 and the PA Turnpike, and boom, you are right there. The Excite Center is the state-of-the-art entertainment venue located inside Parks Casino, named one of the best places to see the country's music headliners and best comedians, like my guy Tracy Morgan, who's going to be there March 14th on a Saturday. We should all go. Let's make it a date at Parks Casino and the Excite Center because it's very easy to get to. So please check out parkscasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. Hang out, enjoy yourself. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You must be 21 and over. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back here on the PHLY Sixers post-game show, 124-114 victory over the Pelicans. Joel Embiid and Kelly Oubre, double-doubles on the night. Let's get, though, to the big takeaway presented by Xfinity.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Visit xfinity.com and you can watch us in 4K. You know,
you don't need to watch us in 4K, all right? If we're going to start, maybe leave that out
maybe
of the ad
leave that part
read.
out
Yeah,
of it?
I don't know.
You can watch Bree and Kyle in 4K and not us. We're
480i is just enough. Thank you.
All right, the big takeaway, the celebration at the arena, the Xfinity Mobile Arena for the 2000-2001 NBA Finals Eastern Conference representatives, the Philadelphia 76ers, Allen Iverson, Aaron McKie, Eric Snow, and company. Derek, you were there, man. Bree and I and everybody else got a chance to watch it on television. Maybe some of you were there, but it looked awesome. Just coming back from commercials, seeing some of the stuff. Bree's younger than we are, so I had to kind of like, hey, you don't remember some of this stuff, so this is what this was. This is what happened here. And I know she has some stats that she's going to throw up, some of the awards and all from that season. Go. And just look at that, man. 56-26. I think people remember. First, when I said it to you, you were like 41-14. Yeah. People remember that more than they do the end of the season record. Yeah. And the 10-0 start. People remember that more than they do the 56-36. But all the awards with Allen Iverson, Larry Brown, Aaron McKie all bringing home hardware. And then the Sixers losing in 5 to the Lakers, Shaq and Kobe, three-peat. They just ran into a juggernaut. Didn't lose until the Sixers beat them in Game 1 of the playoffs that year. And I explained to Bree of how the Lakers just cruised through. They were sweeping everybody. Sixers should have won. Sixers win Game 1. Should have won Game 2. Should have won Game 3.
One of them was the Robert Horry 3.
Yes.
Was that Game 3?
That was Game 3.
And in Game 2, they missed like a ton of free throws that they could have gone up 2-0. Oh.
And I think it was Brian Shaw or Brian Shaw, I think, hit a big shot in Game 2. And maybe Fisher hit a big shot in Game 2. But should have won. You weren't coming back 3-0. You should have been up 2-1 after 3. Because they fouled Shaq out in Game 3.
Yeah.
And they had an opportunity, but Robert Horry with that corner 3. But you were there tonight, man. Could you just talk about what you witnessed? Had a chance to catch up with some of the guys, Pat Croce, Billy King, Eric Snow, Todd McCullough. How great was it?
They were 15 for 26 at the free throw line in Game 2.
Bree, you win that game. 15.
AI was 0 for 4 from the line. He never goes 0 for 4.
Miss free throws like that.
Oh, my God. Gosh. It was killer. And a lot of them down the anyway.
That just would have been an extra game at home.
We don't need to relitigate a game.
That
would have
been a game 5
especially
at
because
home.
we're supposed to be sitting here celebrating.
And that was 2-3-2 back then. It would have been 2 in LA, 3 in Philly, and 2 in LA. Take it back, maybe steal 6, force a game 7. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Look at us getting frustrated. We didn't even talk about the trade. Go ahead.
It really did just drive home, though, the connection that this city can have with their athletes. And that was maybe like if you were in the city at that time, remember the flags that everybody had on their car? Everybody overnight had a Sixers flag on their car.
You can get them everywhere.
You had to. Like
the supermarket. The corner. I'm from Winfield. I'm from West Philly. They were selling them on the corner in 52nd Street. They were there.
It
everywhere.
was
the corner store. They had them.
And it's like I feel like you can get a little bit jaded at times in the social media era because it feels like, and I think it was Eric Snow who made this comparison before the game, but it feels like social media is just sports talk radio for the masses, where like it's just everybody venting all the time and everybody being like, I was the first one to call this guy a fraud, or I got this opinion before anybody else. And it does seem like it brings out a little bit of negativity that maybe wasn't there 25 years ago. But then you go and you talk to Pat Croce and you talk to Billy King and you see Allen Iverson talk about it and how much the fan base just absolutely adored all of them and how much they pulled at our heartstrings. And it shows you the other side of sports too, and the way that we can get that connection to players back and the way that just a little bit of luck can really generate something that's going to stand with us for a lifetime. And I've made this comparison before where like that Vince Carter shot, if that goes in, how does that change a legacy? The Kawhi shot, if that goes out, how does that change Embiid's legacy? And actually Billy King brought that up directly during his press conference. And it just brings me back to sort of like what I started this with. Seeing the connection that everybody in that arena had to AI, to Croce, to everybody that was there, just makes me really hope this second act of Joel Embiid's career can yield something so that he kind of has that moment too, and he gets that legacy as well.
They didn't necessarily capture things like that run. Of course, no one has since then.
Yeah.
But Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, as the two guys leading things, they had a chance.
Yeah.
They had an opportunity. It did not happen. The Kawhi Leonard shot, of course, but it's more of the other ones that really hurt, where if they would have gotten to the finals, you could see where they were just waiting to grab on to what we all experienced in 2000, 2001. And I remember talking to some of our people from ALLCITY and wondering why is this, when it was announced that this was all going to happen before the season, why are they celebrating a losing team? And I said, you don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, with all due respect, you weren't here, you don't understand it. It was, as Eric Snow talked about during the broadcast, and they showed the halftime on the broadcast of they basically were the city. They worked hard. They fought for everything. They were the underdog. And they captured everyone. They weren't supposed to be there. And as George Lynch said, we didn't worry about who got the headlines. We just went out there and did our jobs, and the job was to get a win. And they knew Allen Iverson was going to get the shine. But Allen Iverson, for a guy who could, and we all know the complicated relationship with Allen Iverson, but with that team, he was unselfish. Even though he got all the shots, he was unselfish of always extending things back to them, where his teammates and the coaching staff deserved that shine too. So that's what I was trying to explain to them of how they didn't understand that the flags that I was talking to Bree about before you got back here, and you just brought up, and Val in the chat saying she still has hers, keeps it outside her house, as big of a Sixer fan that she is, that those flags from, I think I said to Bree, it was somewhere early May, where everybody, they were the number one seed in the East, but early May is when those flags really start to take off, when they beat the Pacers, which they couldn't do.
2 years in a row they lost, right?
They could, and lost game one on Sunday afternoon to the Pacers in that first round series. And getting past them, setting up that matchup with Vince Carter, Alvin Williams, and that tough Toronto Raptors team who had beaten the Knicks to advance to round 2, that the flags were out, the horns were always honking, everybody was in, the city was shut down, and everybody was watching the basketball game. And it was the spring going into the summer. So it was perfect.
Yeah.
And that's how big it was. And it's great for them to celebrate it. That's why you can celebrate a losing team, because of all that. You felt like a part of them. When Iverson walked out to the introduction from Matt Cord and goes to the crowd and does his to the ear thing, it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was perfect to be able to see that, hear all them. I wish all of them could have been there tonight. No Matt Geiger, no Speedy Claxton, no Aaron McKee. Tonight, no Tyrone Hill out there tonight. But that team, man, it was fun. And I do hope, as Derek points out, this is where as much as I didn't like it, this is where the rebuild came into play. Once Joel Embiid got on the floor and became Joel Embiid early with Ben Simmons, we were all clamoring for that to come back. And while we can't root like we did when we were growing up, we could certainly wish to be able to cover an Eastern Conference Finals and an NBA Finals and maybe even NBA Finals MVPs on this basketball team. Fun time, man. Fun time.
It really was. And Iverson was so unique, both because of the way he played the game and the emotion that he showed, and just how raw both his strengths and his faults were. Like, everything was on display about him in a way that I'm not sure could really happen in today's media environment. Like, I feel like a PR department would get him and try to sanitize him, and that would lose a lot of the connection he had and built up with the fans. You really had to experience it, because it was for a guy who, like I said, had his faults, and I don't think anybody is going to tell you otherwise. The way that he expressed emotion, just raw emotion, is, I'm not sure I can really recall an athlete that's as vulnerable and also almost simultaneously as heroic as he was. It was really unique.
The 2000-2001 Sixers and the reunion game celebration tonight at the arena. That's the big takeaway, presented by Xfinity.
Imagine that. Sorry.
Imagine that. Not in 4K with us, though.
No, you don't need...
Just for your viewing
4K
broadcast.
is not necessary. It's overrated.
When we come back, our final segment, we'll continue to talk about the game, some of the other key players that really helped out tonight, some of the others that were unsung in a different way, not for the award, but just some nice things that you saw, and maybe what it might mean for their road trip that begins on Monday as we get things started. It's the PHLY Sixers postgame show. Sixers win by 10 over the Pelicans. We'll be back. Final segment here on the PHLY postgame.
Guys, everybody's got their favorite hard tea. I'm going to help you out a little bit. You need to get with Crooked Tea, because they brag about what's in their hard tea. Crooked Tea brews real USDA organic tea for real flavor with 0 sugar. There's no fake junk hiding behind the label. What you see is what you drink. So the next time you're at the store, flip the can. If you can't find where the ingredients are, I need you to just put it back, grab a Crooked Tea, 0 sugar, real tea, fully transparent. You know it, Philly. Real recognizes real. So never, ever, ever drink the fake stuff. Drink Crooked Tea. The only thing better is a strip sack in the Super Bowl. Visit crookedtea.com to find it in a store near you.
Managing your money doesn't have to be a struggle this year. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts and investments, net worth, and future planning together in one dashboard on your laptop or your phone. Start your new year on the right foot financially and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code PHLY. Monarch is the go-to tool for a New Year's financial reset, reviewing spending, setting fresh budgets, and getting ready for 2026. With automated weekly money recaps and tracking progress towards future financial goals, it's easier than ever to stay financially fit in the short and long term. Monarch helped users save $200 per month on average after joining. 8 out of 10 members feel more in control of their finances with Monarch. This year, achieve your financial goals for good. Monarch is the all-in-one tool that makes proactive money management simple all year long. Use code PHLY at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code PHLY.
Back here on the PHLY Sixers post-game show, and I got to add another player. T. Harris in the chat says, no Rajah Bell either. I saw Rajah Bell in the video compilation they put together, and I was like, oh, he'll be there. He's in the media,
He was
all
a
that
great
stuff.
story during that run, too. 'Cause
Yeah.
was that his rookie year?
That was his
He was
rookie
undrafted,
year.
right?
They brought him in for a 10-day
Yeah.
contract, and then they finally signed him for the rest of the year.
Next thing you know, he's played minutes in the finals.
He had that scoop layup.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter, I think it was, that they needed badly. So thank you, T. Harris, for reminding us about Rajah Bell as well. Let's head to the arena to check in with our guy, our man on the scene, and that is Kyle Neubeck joining us with the great backdrop of the 2000-2001 team. And Kyle, we just talked about them just because that was the big takeaway of that great ceremony that took place. And cool to see the current team in the uniforms with those players there. Really good stuff. But before we get to that, Joel Embiid, 40-point double-double. Fantastic work. Finishes the month off averaging 29 points, 8 rebounds, close to 9 boards. Playing some really good basketball. 34, Derek said, in the last 7. Just putting the team on his back tonight to make sure that they beat this Pelican squad.
Yeah, and we had a pretty fun, or pretty surprising, I should say, detour during Joel Embiid's post-game availability. I was asking him about, this is the first 40-point game in the regular season you've had in 2 years since you dropped 70 on Wemby. Like, are you still surprising yourself with these milestones and these big performances? And he said, honestly, this year was sort of a tryout year for me, that this was, we had to figure out, what is the plan? What is the process? How does this all come together for me to be my best self, to be on the floor as much as possible? And then he went out of his way to, I know Dr. Glashow has gotten all the shine. He specifically called out Simon Rice, who essentially is their head of medical internally for the Sixers, and said, he's the guy who always believed in me. He's the guy who always came to me and said, no, what can I do? What can we try? How many different ways can we go about this? And like stayed with him on it, and never shouted Joel down, never told him his body was wrong. And according to Joel, said like, I'm here to do whatever it takes to get you back to where you need to go. And so Joel, in the process of giving him very vocal credit, goes, he'll never get the credit that he deserves. And it's like, well, if you say this, I think he will get the credit, Joel. So thank you to Simon Rice, and also thank you to Joel, who, to your point, Devon, 40-point game, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, all that stuff. Like, I didn't even think that was that great of a game for Joel. He had a middle stretch where I was like, it's a little too much Joel all the time. But the fact that we can complain about, hey, they're giving it to him too much, and he scored 40, what a great place to be in compared to the beginning of the year, and certainly last year.
Quickly here before Derek jumps in, we got some breaking news that we want to share with you on here, and that is Shams breaking the news that the Cleveland Cavaliers are trading DeAndre Hunter to the Sacramento Kings for Dennis Schroeder, Keon Ellis, and it's a 3-team deal with the Chicago Bulls acquiring Dario Saric from the Kings. So DeAndre Hunter going to the local product, going to Sacramento. Cleveland picking up some backcourt help in Cleveland as they get ready to make their push for better seeding in the Eastern Conference.
So I want to shout out my guy, Mike Scotto, who has been all on top of this. He had all the details of this lined up. I think it was either yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yep.
So the smoke has been out there. Very brief tenure in Cleveland for DeAndre Hunter. Pretty disappointing stretch there for him. But also, main acquisition is a guard. Like, I like Keon Ellis, but I don't know. I guess we'll see what the vision is there with Mitchell Garland and him. I guess you had a more defensive-minded guy into that backcourt.
Yeah. All right, I guess going back to our roster dilemmas. Obviously Kelly had a huge game. Walker got back in the rotation. Barlow got back in the starting lineup. What did you make from the forwards who will be assuming a lot of Kelly's workload, or Paul's workload?
So, I thought Watford gave them decent minutes tonight. I think for me, the tricky part with Watford is they give him the ball a lot when he's on the floor, and I just would rather VJ and McCain, and certainly Maxey, be the guys running the offense, especially as McCain gets going here. I want to see more of these 3-guard looks, space the floor out. The two-man game between McCain and Embiid was a big subject post-game tonight, talking about the success they had late in the game. But I do think they're going to lean on Watford. And Tyrese Maxey said after the game that when he found out about the Paul George news, Watford, Justin Edwards, and McCain were three guys that he specifically went to, and he said, you guys need to be ready for your opportunity right now, because the door is open for new guys to get involved in the rotation, fight their way back into the mix for minutes and real chances here. So I think Watford handled it well. I mean, look, Barlow has been good, rock solid all year. Walker, the same to a lesser extent. I just don't know how Nurse is going to attack this necessarily. I think when they tried to go more traditional power forward, and you're playing Kelly Oubre as well, we saw the Pelicans play like box and one on Maxey tonight, and they just dared everybody else to try to shoot over them, and they were going to be happy if Barlow's launching corner threes. That to me is going to be the key. How do you find the right lineup combinations and find some plays that work so it's not just forcing the ball out of Maxey's hands when they go to backup groups?
Kyle, we had talked about the unsung hero tonight being Jared McCain because his shot was on tonight, and how important the outside shooting is going to be now without Paul George. So just simply good for him to, during this stretch here, where 3 of the last 4 now, he's had some good shooting nights, and hope that this can carry as they go on the road trip out west.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as he got one good shooting night under his belt, and he's been able to ride that momentum. Tyrese was at the podium talking about how they're in his ear, like, we need you to pull more. We need you when you're coming off of screens, like he did on the DHO with Embiid in the fourth quarter tonight, where he hits a 3. They trust him and they believe in him to take and make that shot. And so they're trying to continually build his confidence. And Maxey talked about being proud about the fact that he went through a really tough stretch there for a while. And that's not to say that that's over. I think you can still see that at times he's trying to get downhill or he's trying to do something physically that is not quite there yet. But I think as long as he is stepping confidently into threes, making smart decisions with the basketball as a passer, and doing the things that Jared McCain does, they'll live with the ups and downs. I think the key is going to be Nurse might have to trust him a little bit more than he has recently. And even tonight, this was not a outsized role tonight. I think what tonight showed you is that Quentin Grimes might be on a slightly smaller leash, because he didn't get a ton of tick compared to the average Quentin Grimes game. Maybe some of that's the return from injury. We'll have to wait and see. But I think it's going to be a situational thing for a lot of these guys. You have the top of the rotation, and then it's a whole lot of musical chairs outside of that. Good job by Jared tonight to put his name firmly back in the mix.
And then the other guy, VJ, he might not be the guy who's necessarily going to get more minutes, but he's probably going to have more of an opportunity. I think maybe through the first 3 quarters or so, I thought maybe he could have been a little bit more aggressive looking to score on his own, but I thought he also made some really nice passes. What did you make of his game tonight?
So the outstanding passing game, I thought, and I talked with Nurse about his performance after the game, and Nurse spotlighted the play where it got batted out. The ball gets batted out to like half court or so. VJ tracks it down. It's got like 8 seconds on the shot clock. And because there's not a lot of time, he just gets into, I got to attack. He goes downhill. He up fakes on Trey Murphy, draws the foul, and 1. And Nick's like, we're going to show him plays like that. And we do show him plays like that to say, you can beat guys one-on-one. You can get into your stuff early in the offense. You have to be aggressive. And they don't want to take away the playmaking and the unselfishness in that way. But there are times where they need him to put his foot down and just drive at somebody. He said, especially in like 4-on-4s in transition, try to get to the rim, like make a real point to get downhill, get to the paint. And if you have an opportunity to score, do so. If not, he's such a threat to dunk on somebody, and people are so scared of that athleticism. He's going to get extra help thrown at him, and he's probably going to have an open shooter with him. So I think they're constantly in VJ's ear. You need to keep going, keep the foot on the gas. Don't let these guys get away with playing off of you. So I thought it was a really good game for him, even if it was an understated one. But it does show, like, even a night where he scores 15 and 5 assists and whatnot, we're like, there's more there to be had, especially with Paul George out of the lineup.
We are heading to overtime here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show. We thank everyone for hanging out with us here tonight as we sit here with you following a Sixers win, Sixers 10-point victory over the New Orleans Pelicans. We'll be back with you on Monday ahead of the Sixers and the Los Angeles Clippers. Monday start time, I believe, is 10 o'clock. So we'll be with you at 9:30. Kyle, as you talk about VJ Edgecombe, you and Derek talk about VJ Edgecombe, and we kind of reflect on the Sixers 2000-2001 team. He had a play where it made me think of, I know you guys remember game 1 overtime victory. Mm-hmm. Iverson cross-court snap pass to Aaron McKie in transition, left corner, left wing 3. And I immediately had a flashback when he did that to Kelly Oubre in the first quarter. And it was just one of those things that just jumped in my mind because he could have gone downhill. He could have attacked the basket. But a 20-year-old rookie making the right play like that to locate his teammate that had a wide open three-pointer, even though it was cross-court, it was on a rope to him in a similar fashion as that Iverson to McKee pass was in 01. And that jumped out immediately to me as that play had happened. So just continues to make the right decision on a lot of these plays out there for a young guard.
Big time, Devon. And I think with VJ, and frankly, a bunch of the guards tonight, I thought they had some really nice transition offense sequences where it was like VJ hits a hit ahead, Maxey hits Barlow, Barlow's got a wide open dunk. Or the play you're talking about, he hits Oubre for that one. Like a lot of nice, instead of doing all the work of dribbling the ball travels faster than you can. And it's just a quick, everybody gets up the floor. You have a bunch of athletes. You have some guys who can put it on the deck. In fact, everybody except for maybe a Dembona that played tonight can put it on the deck. I'm sure you were in the studio tearing your hair out and yelling like I was watching those sequences tonight. But yeah, like look, he shows a lot of poise and a lot of maturity, game intelligence for a kid who's only 20 years old. And so you think about that in year 1 and dream about what might be in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road.
All right, this is the last one from me, and I desperately need the right answer on this. Very first play of the game, VJ brings the ball up. They run Tyrese through an Iverson cut for his first bucket. Was there any indication that was an intentional callback with the play's namesake sitting there being celebrated courtside?
So I have some great news for you, Derek.
Okay.
After Nick Nurse's press conference was over, I stopped him and I specifically said, hey, I have a real quick one for you. First play of the game, you run an Iverson cut. Was that intentional? And he was like half walking out the door, but prior to that, he stops dead in his tracks, looks back, and is like, that was very much intentional.
Thank you.
Ran the Iverson cut to get that layup, and Maxey was coming in at the time, and he goes, and if Tyrese had missed that layup, I would have been really upset. And Tyrese goes, but I didn't miss that layup. So thankfully, the tribute to Allen Iverson on the tribute to the 01 team night went off without a hitch. So yes,
perfect.
The Iverson cut that we all recognized in real time was in fact a little tribute from Nick Nurse and the Sixers.
So with that, we got to ask you, Derek gave his thoughts of being in the arena, experiencing it in the building. Your experience watching the reunion celebration for the 01 team.
It's really cool. I've said on our show many times, it was the team that got me into basketball, just watching them play as hard as they did, as fast as they did. They're full court pressing teams. They're playing 3 and 4 guard lineups at times. They get Dikembe Mutombo, and at the time, I'm thinking, oh my God, that's a championship. This guy has won 1 million Defensive Player of the Year awards. I'm not thinking so much about Shaq. I'm just thinking about the team that I'm following added this great player. And I will say, by the way, Dikembe's family, I believe it was his daughter and maybe his wife were there, and they got a really, really warm reception, which was very cool. Obviously, the late, great Dikembe Mutombo. So seeing all these guys together in the same building, Pat Croce's just crazy energy everywhere, like from the presser that Derek and I were both at to him ringing the bell. Billy King was up here. People might have their own feelings about him, but no, he's very good spirited about everything. He even gave North Carolina a bit of credit for George Lynch. I never thought I'd see the day from a Duke guy. So yeah, I thought the energy in the building was great. And I think whenever you have a team come back like that, and they didn't even win a championship, and you put them in front of a team that's playing now, to me, I just have to think that that's something that you look at and say, man, if we were to ever win something in this locker room, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, VJ Edgecombe, all these guys, like, look at what you can be to this town. You play the right way, you achieve your team goals. Like, those guys are immortal for winning a single game in the finals. Imagine what a championship would do. So it's a cool tribute, and I hope that it's motivation to these guys to go out and accomplish some things themselves.
All right, we'll end it there, man. Be safe getting home. We'll see you 9:30 on Monday for the start of our late nights for the 5-game road trip out west. Kyle
I can
Neubeck,
already feel
make sure
Derek sleepy.
check him out at allphly.com for the instant observations from tonight's game. Kyle, be safe. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, man.
See you guys.
See you, Kyle.
You got it. It was cool. Listen, Sixers doing that anyway. I expected that. Knowing who's in charge of all of that stuff with Dikembe Mutombo's family, expected nothing less.
Yeah. No, I'm look, Dikembe was great. It's a shame that obviously he couldn't be here for this because he was a player, an acquisition who I think was a little bit controversial at the time because Theo was
even today
beloved. Theo was beloved,
Yeah.
and the way that they played for the first up until the All-Star break, up until Theo got hurt, really drew a lot of people in and connected with that team. But I think when you saw, and look, nobody alive could have defended Shaq in that series. Not Dikembe, not Theo. They were screwed with how well he was playing. But when you started seeing how good of a person Dikembe was, I think he won over a lot of skeptics from that trade because he is just he was a Class A human being, a guy that you could really look up to, and a guy that was really easy to root for.
Yeah, he was. He was. And again, I agree with you, the sentiment that sad that he could not be there tonight. The trade, though, that's how big Theo was.
Yeah.
He was back here tonight. Mm-hmm. And even when you look at a situation right now with Paul George, and he mentions in his statement to Shams about the mental health, Theo Ratliff talked about the mental health, mm-hmm. the issues that he went through being traded to the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
And that he couldn't stay in Philadelphia, and he wanted to be here, and he felt like he could have made it back for the playoff run. Could Nazir Muhammad also not there tonight? I was also surprised that he wasn't there. I was one that thought Nazir and Todd McCullough could hold it down until he returned. That was me. And it was more of the team is so good. Everyone else plays their roles. These two young guys don't have a choice but to play their roles and not worry about anything else but playing your role. And I thought they could hold it down. But Dikembe helped get them to the finals, had some big rebounding nights, some big defensive performances, some big points in a lot of those games as well. But man, just thinking about if Theo would have been able to get back, maybe some of the other stuff after 0-1 would have never happened because your core would have still been there, and some trades would have had to been made at some point. But man, I wish Theo was still on that team.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, it's tough to predict what happened because that just really felt like a lightning in a bottle kind of season. I'm not sure they would have ever replicated that again. But
because they were all older.
Yep.
Then you give the extension to Eric Snow and Aaron McKee. Eric Snow fell off pretty quickly. Aaron was still Aaron, but they just got old fast.
Well, they got old fast, and quite frankly, even with Theo, he never really seemed like he 100% got back to where he was before that injury.
But again, did that mental health part really
that's
hit him hard?
A fair question.
Yeah.
That's a fair question.
If
the way he got off the ground so quickly as a rim protector, it was incredible to watch.
And so against the Lakers, just quickly, my thinking was always No, he is not Dikembe Mutombo, but he made the All-Star team for a reason, not just because they were the number 1 seed. It's because how good his defense was.
Yeah.
And he was averaging, close to a double-double every night. Offensively, he pulls Shaq away from the basket.
No, he had that little mid-range stop and pop. Yeah,
that's
did.
what I'm saying. So when he would hit that mid-range jumper, he didn't have the Joel Embiid form.
Dikembe had a little bit of a mid-range jumper, but it took about 25 seconds for him to get through that shooting motion.
Exactly. And Theo's was a little bit better. And he was also able to put the ball on the floor and get to the basket and dunk it or lay it up and get fouled and get to the free throw line and make his free throws. That's why I think the chess match would have been there between Phil Jackson and Larry Brown of how it would have worked because, again, he was an all-star center for a reason that year with some really good centers in that era, and he was a part of the all-star team because of that. Just great. It's always a great conversation because of the controversial trade that it was. It's always going to be a what if. But then it goes to, all right, they got to the finals. What if they win games 2 and games 3 or at least game 4? And things are different. But to be able to talk about a team that won 1 game in the NBA Finals the way that we do for that squad, fantastic.
Yeah, and look, it's not about, we're celebrating a team that won 1 game or we're celebrating a team that won a conference finals. We're celebrating a team that we had a connection with. Mm-hmm. And, obviously a part of that connection comes from the run that they made and how unexpected that run was, but also just the personalities associated with this. So it really was nice to see everyone. I cannot tell you, Devon, how happy I am that Iverson cut was intentional. So I'm in the press room editing some videos, some of the press conferences that were recorded beforehand. I don't go out until midway through the first quarter, and I've got to speed watch to catch up. So I sit down, and it's we're 6 minutes in the game at this point. Pull up the TV, watch it on my computer, and 30 seconds in, I stop it. And I go to Kyle that had to have been intentional. He's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "That Iverson cut on the first play. There's no way that was a coincidence." I'm like, "You've got to find out." So I'm very happy that he went and he found out, and I'm very happy that it was. I cannot tell you how annoyed I would have been if that was just random. I didn't think it was random, but I'm very happy that it was intentional.
It was intentional, and Derek has a great eye for the plays that are called. Great stuff. This was fun tonight. Fun reunion game. Really good win. Nice super chat from David where he just wanted to donate. Thank you,
Appreciate
David.
You.
Did he comment at Aubrey in the chat? Just to see if David said anything else. All right, so David says, don't want to be negative after a win. But let me see. Don't want to be negative after a win. Nice to see 40 points and him having fun again. But Joe can score in his sleep on one leg, concerned about his defense and how he played down to the competition.
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about this a little bit earlier. His offense is legitimately back. It's pretty darn close to where it was at the peak of his powers. Maybe not there, but 95 percentile there.
And that mid-range jumper was not hitting the rim at all tonight.
No, and that mid-range jumper, I looked this up. It was maybe 3 or 4 games ago at this point. But over the last 2 months, he's legitimately hitting that mid-range jumper at 50 plus
back to a layup.
Yeah. No, it's back to a layup. He's starting to hit the 3 ball with more consistency as well. And look, his defense isn't what it was. I still think he's the best defensive center they have right now. Now, look, Andre Drummond's one of the worst in the league defensively. Adem Bona certainly has the physical tools, but is not in the right spot almost ever. And those two,
Adem, you were spared tonight, my friend. Spared. Kyle saved you.
That transition,
the fumble
handle was unacceptable. And honestly, that layup in the second quarter that he tried at full speed, you could just watch it going oh, there's no way he's converting this.
He also got a great great drop off pass from one of his teammates. He went up, missed it, got the rebound, missed it, and they went the other way. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It was good to see Yves Messi put on the show.
Yeah.
To say, come get me, man. And Joel was talking to him very long after the game.
Okay, you're doing some scouting on trade deadline activity.
There after the game, he was talking to him. DeAndre Jordan had to come over and kind of butt in because Joel wasn't showing love. He and Corey Brewer, and long conversation with Yves Messi. Just saying.
All right.
How about Saddiq?
Look, he was great. He was absolutely great.
That was my only thing. Yeah. On a better team, making shots, not like that. I mean, he had 34 tonight, but it's just more of adding that to the mix, just.
But no, look, going back to it, I'm not going to tell you that defensively he's back to where he was.
Yeah.
But I do think he's better than where he was at the start of the year. And hopefully he can look, he's playing every night and he's scoring at will. And I'm just choosing to take the good because it's absolutely blowing my mind that we even have a chance to see this version of him again.
He's gotten better every month.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he really has.
If he's going to get better every month, if this is the trend that is trending that way, I'm not going to say he's going to be back to the defender by the time they get to the playoffs, but he also understands what the playoffs are and where he might have to ramp up the defense a little bit more once they get to the postseason. We talked about Jimmy Butler all the time, right? What is he doing? Why is he not taking shots? Why is he not taking threes? You get to the playoffs, what does he do? He turns up into playoff Jimmy. And I'm not saying
he would
Embiid,
legitimately go from like taking like 1 3 a game to like 4 or 5.
Yes. And I'm not saying Joel Embiid is going to be playoff defensive Joel Embiid, but maybe he's trying to preserve some of that by the time he gets to the postseason.
I do think there is an aspect of Joel's defense where like he's making some business decisions. Not as much. Like earlier in the season, that seemed especially pronounced where like he just wouldn't leave his feet to try to block a shot. But I do think there's some where like he's got another level. I'm not sure how high that level is. I don't think it's back to where it was.
Can it be helpful,
a couple years ago? But yeah, I think it could be a little bit less. Like I'm not convinced he changes direction and gets a second jump as quickly as he did in his prime before all these injuries. But I do think there is another step he can take.
Yep, absolutely. So fun game, fun win, fun Joel Embiid, Kelly Oubre performances. Nice to see the Sixers 5 players in double figures. Now it's time for the 5-game road trip, beginning with a back-to-back Monday, Tuesday. Los Angeles Clippers, Golden State Warriors. We'll be with you at 9:30 for the pregame on Monday night. Don't forget, tomorrow, 6 p.m., the All-Star reserves will be announced. So as we get ready to sign off and say goodnight to everybody, one question as we say goodnight to you all: will Joel Embiid make the All-Star team when the announcements for the reserves drop tomorrow evening? Yes or no in the chat as we get ready to say goodnight to everybody.
Leave them in the comments if you listen.
Leave them in the
afterwards.
comments,
Let us
please.
know.
And also make sure you look out for our PHLY_Sixers Twitter account, because we are going to drop our All-Star reserves selections that we think they are going to be before they are announced tomorrow. So let us know what you think, not only in the chat, but also in the comments underneath the show here on YouTube. So we appreciate everybody checking in. As always, it's time for the world famous, you can't say should be, Fusion. Say yes or no. Don't say should be, but he's been good. It's the roll call.
All right, I completely forgot about this.
Oh, did you?
But I will try to scroll through very, very quickly. We will start off with Winona and Jess right from the top.
Hey, ladies.
Fusion WTTC, who I apologize very deeply. He reached out to me before the game, wanted to meet up. I didn't see the DM until after I had already left the arena. So I'm
shout out Fusion.
Very, very sorry about that. T. Harris as well. He was in the chat quite a bit here tonight. X-Man. Let's see.
What up, X? Val was in there. Jazz was in there.
Remo K.
What up, ladies?
Val was in there as well. 100%.
Remo.
Phil W. I apologize that you didn't get the Unsung Hero today, but you will get it in the future.
What up, Phil?
The problem is he's just too important right now to be unsung. It's not our fault. We got Smoggy in the chat. I see Smoggy. Solomon. A lot of repeat names because I forgot to write them down. Yeah. Everyone, there's so many repeats. Oh, God.
There were a lot. SB Cole, you mentioned.
Botched this. You better love somebody.
Better love somebody. Love somebody.
Philly Star.
Philly Star said he had to bounce to watch the fights. We saw the fight where one of the guys had a hairpiece and he got hit so hard his hairpiece started flapping, flapping backwards because of gravity. So shout out that boxer.
Martian Lynch. I remember he was in here earlier today.
What up, Martian?
I'm awful.
That's all right. Black Moses had to sign off. Black Moses.
There you go.
Rich P was in there. Lost Sleep TV. The flying, what was it? The flying zebra, right? Flying zebra. What up? Philly Shad. Good to see you.
Who was our super chat? David?
David was the super chat. Yep. Reardon. Walter Phillips also in the chat tonight. Andrew Sharp. What up, Andrew? T. Harris.
Not that Andrew Sharp.
Not that Andrew Sharp. What was that? Little Mike Man? What up, Mike? Hello, little Mike. Vic. Good to see everybody in there, PHLY guy. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight on a Saturday night. You could have been doing anything, but you decided to hang with us, and we are always grateful. Thank you so much. Hit the like button, like and subscribe, and when you do, the bell icon.
Oh, what the heck was that?
It
There we
alerts
go.
you. We haven't used it all week. It alerts you. Yes, it is frozen. It alerts you that it is, in fact, showtime, especially with these late nights, everybody. We're going to be with you for this next week, this stretch. So just to let everybody know, Monday, Tuesday, back-to-back games out west. Wednesday, 3 p.m. Thursday, trade deadline, 2 p.m. show, and a pre- and post-game on Thursday for the game against the Los Angeles Lakers. And Friday, we are off game on Saturday, and we go from there with the final game being the following week.
I just want everyone to know, he doesn't have the schedule up on his device at all. There's no schedule that we can see on the TV. He knows this by heart.
Thank you.
I had no idea what our schedule was.
Thank you.
I know we're working all day Thursday. That's all I know.
All day Thursday, 2 o'clock, and the pregame and postgame show for the Los Angeles Lakers game. Everybody, have a great rest of your night. Stay warm. Enjoy your Sunday. No football tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to do. There's nothing. We can watch some other basketball, but there's nothing there. Enjoy your family. Hang out with everybody. Stay warm. Have your tea, coffee, hot chocolate. When you get your coffee in the morning, make sure it's 5 to 11 a.m. at Wawa for the $5 breakfast deal. It's a great deal of a Sizzly, a hot coffee at any size, hot coffee or iced coffee, and a hash brown. $5 Sizzly deal only at Wawa. Limited time from 5 to 11. Bree, great job as always. Thank you so much, sis. Make sure you read Kyle at allphly.com. You never know what the hell is going to happen. It's trade season, Derek. We got a big trade tonight. Trae Young deal already done. Maybe this is the start to some things. And what happens with the Philadelphia 76ers now that they have a little bit more flexibility?
Yeah.
Because of the Paul George suspension. If you don't know all of the deals, go back to our emergency pod earlier today. Derek broke it down. You can also check some of the numbers that he puts up. Tell him where to go with your website with all the updates on the...
Oh, you mean just the salary?
Yeah.
It's a Sixers.wiki.
There you have it. So you can get all the great stuff. Everybody have a great rest of your night. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you Monday, 9:30 right here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show presented by Bet365. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.